All right, guys, so what are we looking for when we're making a record? When we're putting a whole record together, a full length, a 10-song thing, are we looking for a bunch of singles? Are we looking for a bunch of hit songs that are just going to go on the radio, or are we looking to give the listener a ride? And the truth is, we're looking to give the listener a ride here. We want them to listen to the whole thing. It's great that there will be singles, but your record has to be dynamic. And not dynamic in the way of loud and soft, dynamic in the narrative way. Like a dynamic character would be someone who undergoes change throughout a story. A static character, you don't want a static record. So a static character will be someone who doesn't undergo any change throughout the story, just very consistent. Not generally what you want when you're putting someone through the ups and downs of and the emotions of what you put onto a full length. You want them to take a ride with you. So there's a lot of ways to do this, and some of it might be by actual dynamics, like we talk about, like making things louder or softer. That's great, but let's talk about the other things we could do. We could start songs in different ways. This happens a lot with artists. I notice this in pre-production with artists all the time. They'll start songs the same way. They'll always have an intro that has a little lead guitar part, and then we hit the song. It's like, great, so every time we're going to start with the theme. That gets boring. So let's change it up. Let's not have an intro in this one. Let's start with the vocals and everyone in at the same time. Or even better, I don't see this done enough. Why don't people start with an a cappella phrase anymore? I mean, there are a lot of groups that got launched through that. You could go back to like the Beach Boys, or more recently that pop punk, like Fall Out Boy. Fall Out Boy wouldn't even have been Fall Out Boy without their one a cappella lead into one of their songs on that first record there. So consider that. Different things we could do to kind of get through a record and make sure the songs change from one another, don't have the same structure all the time. Another really cool thing, a lot of bands are always lifting their choruses to like this biggest part of the song. That doesn't always have to be. Sometimes the bridge could be the biggest part of your song. Sometimes your chorus can be the lightest part of your song. Try that. Try taking a chorus and bringing it down like crazy. Just going ahead, hitting what I call football notes, just open chord, nice and light, open chord on clean or something. Have your drummer bring it down on maybe some rim clicks and stuff. Instead of this big giant chorus, bring it down a ton and see what happens there. See if you like the change there. See if the dynamics work for you in that way. Different tempos are really important. I mean, we can't have all the songs be 120. It's not a DJ set. We can't have everything be super alike. So you want to make sure you run with different tempos and different feels. Different feels is really great because you could bring in feels from different styles of music and incorporate it to yours. Like have your drummer throw down something with like a samba-ish bass drum feel or something. See how that works for you. Just try it out. You don't have to do all of these either. These are just all ideas of what you could possibly do. Another one, within a song, you could change times. And I don't mean time signature. We'll get to that. That's another good one. You could change times. You could go from double time, like a punk feeling beat, to half time, like really opened up. You could open up all the way to whole time, where that snare drum only comes around once every measure or so. It could be real cool to go ahead and change times through that, make the song dynamic in that way. And yeah, of course, we could do different time signatures. One of the tricks I really like that artists can use, you could throw a 2/4 beat over a 6/8 feel because it lines up. After a while, you go 1 2 1 2 1 2, turn it around instead of counting to 6. So really kind of cool way to make a transition if you want from 2/4 or 4/4 into 6/8 without it being drastic and just kind of unfounded. All you got to do is start making your changes on 3s while your drummer keeps everything on 2s, and there we are. We get ourselves to that 6/8 feel or 3/4 feel or whatever you'd like to call it. Now, the one more thing I want to talk about, and I brought this up at the beginning, narrative. Narrative is really important, and not enough people are doing it. We need to storytell a little bit more. So storytelling happens in almost all styles of music. But you know who's doing it the most? Like country music. Country music is doing that a ton, and they're doing great. I mean, they're doing really well because people relate to stories. Storytelling is something that's been going on a long time, and when you're writing songs, you might want to consider, the actual narrative within the song too, the story that you're telling. So you could have songs that are kind of out there and kind of, about a thing rather than a story, about like an emotion rather than a story. And you could have songs that are about a story rather than just an emotion, or a story that will bring on the emotion that you're looking to get across. All different ways to make a dynamic record. So not the same song 10 times. There's a ton of different things you could change. Here's a few of them. I hope you like the video. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends, and let me know if there's anything you'd like me to talk about. I'll see you on the next one.